You could say that I didn't have the best childhood. It wasn't the worst, but also there are many people out there that probably couldn't have survived the type of upbringing that I uh, endured. Definitely, there were periods of normal family relations and happiness and happy memories, of course. But there were also times in which I felt under constant attack, uh, in this mode of constant alarm, this fight or flight type of feeling, because I don't know how comfortable people in our country or our nation, how comfortable they are about talking about mental health and wellness, especially those that have experienced brain damage, not from myself, but from another family member that no longer lives with us. But I had family members who found the life transition from their upbringing to one upbringing here in the U.S. was quite difficult to uh, take in all at once, and um, madness um, befell upon them. So that was one family member, and then another family member who was brutally attacked, actually, during a burglary. I don't know whether, I know that it was a burglary. I don't know the ethnicity of the men that attacked him. I don't know their motivation to attack him so um, so harshly, so brutally. But they left an imprint in his memory and our family's memory by uh, attacking him in the cranial area, in which I don't know if there was any fracture of the bone, but he indeed did suffer from severe trauma, head trauma, blunt force head trauma, and in many ways, um, we didn't know what was going on because he had lived with us for so many years in a normal state, until he no longer um, either didn't take his medication or didn't feel like he was um, feeling okay. And so this is what they would call generational trauma. This is what they call generational trauma because the damage that was done to him was also redirected towards his own family members, including children of his family members. And this manifested itself in many ways, including physical violence, verbal violence, of course, being the first one, verbal spats of violence, emotional violence, physical violence if it had to get to it. But I had memories of my father having to defend himself and trying to maintain the peace. My mother trying to maintain the peace, and it was to the outside eye, it could be difficult to take that information in. So, for all of the traumatic experiences I've felt in my childhood and or adulthood, I made sure to continually educate myself, to continually work on. I don't know if you've read this book called Dante's Inferno, excuse me, but I haven't read it yet either. But I read the summary, and basically there's this individual, the main character, the protagonist, Dante, has to go through hell first to get to heaven. And in many ways, I felt as if I was born into this world, on this earth, as, of course, a mere mortal in many ways, and into an existence that was quite painful in many senses, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I felt as if my brother and I had to go through hell to be able to create what others may now see as paradise. And that goes to saying that there is no happiness without pain. There is no joy without pain. And you must be able to experience both of those things to be able to know how to create that kind of bliss. I have this memory of when my aunt had visited my mother one day after, and this was when my uncle was still living with us, but he had not taken his meds for his pseudobulbar effect. So the symptom of that condition is one who continually laughs when there's nothing funny, in inappropriate ways, when there's nothing funny to laugh about, and it could be quite disturbing. And he also, in many ways, started to throw fits towards both my aunt and my mother. And this may be uncomfortable for people to listen to or to try to understand, but this is the reality that I had to experience when I was a child and as a young adult, young teenager, student age, K through 12. And he also started to become violent in many ways. He would throw things at us, such as glass cups, and you start yelling at the other households in the neighborhood from the backyard, or he would yell at the sky and throw up his fist, and this was all while being I would say decently and adequately taken care of by family members whom allowed him to stay with us. There was this one instance where he took a glass cup and he threw it from the backyard and chucked it at my father's eye, where the glass cup shattered, and then my dad's eye or eyelid received a cut from the glass, and he started to bleed, and we had to be sent to the hospital to get that stitched up. And I was probably 10 or 11 at the time. There was this other instance where I was home alone with my uncle, and he had been yelling and throwing a fit at nobody, really. He was having conversations with himself, probably in his own mind, but because his mind was not well at the time. And he would, I would, I would have to lock the door to stay away from him. to maintain my distance and to stay safe and keep my well-being into consideration until it became too much to bear. I called the police because he was becoming verbally and physically abusive and violent. And then I also, this 30-something-year-old Southeast Asian male picked me up, a 10 to 11-year-old child, threw me onto the ground and started pummeling and beating my head into the ground. So I found many coping mechanisms. I found many coping mechanisms when I was in my teenage years and my early 20s. I would try not to be at home like ever. I would go out and stay out until 11 p.m. or midnight at a friend's house, just because my friend's house was a safe place to be. And I would also, find solace in playing music because it was a way to express myself and a way to distract myself from all of the traumatic experiences that I've experienced up until that age. And yes, another coping mechanism of mine was because my interpersonal skills, my ability to relate to young women at the time was far behind others my age. I did find comfort and soothingness in viewing pornography. And I don't want to get into that conversation if that makes you feel uncomfortable, but that's how I grew up. My uncle is currently in care of a halfway house for several years now. He is being taken care of by the government, receiving checks because of some careless and callous actions by a few that impacted him for the rest of his life by incapacitating him and destroying his mind and his ability through violence, really. And I had to go through several years, 5 to 10 years of therapy, speaking to a professional therapist, and ones that weren't so much. And it was plenty of time and finances to allocate to those services when all of that could be avoided. And this isn't some kind of pity party for me or for myself, but there are plenty of children and young adults out there that have experienced the same thing that don't have the same ability to vocalize or articulate what they have experienced. There are homeless youth out there. There are LGBT youth out there that cannot, explain or how they experience their own upbringing and lives. There are people with all sorts of conditions that need professional and medical attention. If there's a health issue or a drug issue that's going on, how do you address that issue? Is it the person that's the issue? Is it the drug that's the issue? Is it how do you address a medical issue? Do you address it with violence, or do you treat it as a doctor would? And my name is Jonathan Tuan Tran. I am an electromechanical engineering lab technician. I am also the founder of my own startup here in Silicon Valley. And I'm also an aspiring recording artist. And I hope that I'm doing the work that I continue to need to be doing. And I hope that you enjoyed this interview, and I hope that you listen to my music.